With the event, I'd like to invite our first keynote speaker, Ms. Pawitra Limbu, the founder of Premier Education Network. Pawitra Limbu is the founder of Junkiri Nepal. Ms. Limbu is an educationist who introduced the Montessori Teaching System for the first time in Nepal in the year 2001. She has dedicated 4 decades of her life in the growth and betterment of education and schools in Nepal. She started the Montessori Kinderworld group of preschool in 2002 and later in 2007 founded the premier international IB World School with the aim of providing world-class education to Nepal adolescents without having to migrate in search of quality education. She also founded Junkiri Nepal with the aim of increasing access to quality education in rural and peri-urban regions through training, mentoring, supporting schools and teaching, creating a child-friendly environment. Now let's put our hands together and welcome Ms. Limbu on stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for that wonderful and kind introduction. Namaste and very warm greetings from me in this cold winter morning. First of all, thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to come and share my 34 long years of entrepreneurship as Nepali entrepreneur in education sector. Thank you, Next Growth Conclave, for this platform. I love to call myself as edupreneur because of my long association with education in Nepal. I started pretty young. I still remember in my gap year between my SLC, which we used to say a long time back, I didn't study here, so I was abroad, so I came back to home and I told my dad that I would like to go to school and start teaching. You know what my dad said? My dad said that, wonderful. छोरी, तिमीले यो जुन कुरो गर्नु खोजिरहेको थियौ, त्यो above all the profession, this is the noblest one. And I wonder sometimes how many parents these days tell the same thing to their children. And we always tell that the education of our country is not really being effective. There lies the problem. There lies the solution as well. So I started pretty young. My interest to lead a classroom, to help the children, to educate the children, and to shape the future laid the pathway for future entrepreneurship in the same field. So I would like to share some of my milestones that we have achieved together with my husband and with my family. In 2001, we started Nepal Montessori Training Center with the purpose that, in that time there was a lot of criticism, people saying that the education that we are imparting, the practices that we are doing in the school are not child-friendly. It's very much teacher-centered. So we thought that how about we change it by empowering the teachers with Montessori education. That's how we started Nepal Montessori Training Center. Then we needed, teachers really needed to see how it functions in the actual environment. How does the Montessori environment look like? What are the practices and then the principles in reality? So that's how we started a chain of preschool called Montessori Kinderworld. If you type Kinderworld, that is not a correct English because it is a coined name given by us. So it's a Kinderworld, altogether one word. So in 2001, we started our first model school, 2004, another one, and so on and so forth in 2007. So in 2008, we started Premier International IB World School with the intention that these children who had wonderful foundation in kindergarten didn't have a very good, finishing school. So that's why we started an international school, and we noticed that there were so many people, so many children going abroad to study, like me, in such a good international education. So we started within Nepal, Nepalkai paisale, Nepali bacha liera, Nepali teacher, Nepali investor basera. How about we start international school within our country? That's where we start, IB school. So in 2016, again, to empower more teachers, we started Premier International Education, which focuses in empowering, again, higher studies, teachers and management skills. So in 2007, again, I don't want to go on and on this because I don't want to bore you, because many of you may not be from education sector. So we started association, we started, teacher training center, we started to support the Montessori education, supplies of the books, supplies of the materials. That's how we started, teaching more, which manufactures the materials and, publishes the books as well. So in 2018, we launched the PYP program, and then in 18, teaching more, Junkiri Nepal, again, our host has already, MC has already said that it's our CSR project. And 19, again, in ECD. Another branch, again, in 2019, another branch of MKW. And in 20, a lot of programs are, in 20, a DP program, okay? We have lots of things stored for future of Nepal. We dream to make all these kind of schools in all the 7 regions of Nepal. There are a lot of programs we plan to do. So we were and we are the first to start professional Montessori teacher training in Nepal. First to start a chain of preschools, the brand in Nepal, as Montessori Kinderworld, first to introduce IB-PYP program in Nepal, and first to introduce IB-MYP program in Nepal. And now we are going to make Nepal as the first complete IB world school. We'll soon become Nepal's first and only complete IB world school, which is called in IB community, IB Continuum School. So if you Google it, even in IB community, there are very few schools who has run all of these 3 programs, IB PYP, IB MYP, and IB DP program. So with Premier, you can always expect more. So that's how we start. This is just a short synopsis of our 20 more long years of work. What I have not shared with you is before that, about 14 to 15 years long of our hard work, commitment, hardships, struggles, self-education, knowing this industry, okay, and finding our purpose, why we are doing what we are doing. So entrepreneurship is a journey, I believe. It is a spirit of an entrepreneur to struggle, to face the challenge, to solve the problem. Okay. There's always first mover advantage and disadvantage. People always say, okay, primally iti garyo, utte garyo, how easy it is, how smooth journey it is. It was not. Okay, people always see only the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the deep, what is deep inside. And that one of the mistakes that most of the startups make. They see that I put the money, I start a project, and boom, you go. It will not happen that way. If it happens there, we are very lucky. But few of us are that lucky. So there's always challenges. Nepal, I'll tell you one thing, is still a beautiful country for any kind of startup. Because many of the fields are unexplored. Having said that, that is also a challenge because many of our directives are not written. It's not explored. because nobody has worked on it. You have to tell, you have to make, many of the times तपाईले गएर आफैले नियम बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ हैन, आफैले नै इन्ट्रोड्युस गर्नुपर्छ. The struggle starts from there. But that is the spirit of an entrepreneur as a startup. Okay. So legal जुन चाहिँ प्रोभिजन्सहरू छ premature स्टेजमा छ धेरै कुराहरू. You have to educate, like we had to educate that IB International School, or IB education is a framework. This is going to prepare our children within our country, staying in our home, gharko dal bhat khaera, learning Nepali culture, language, and, develop international mindedness within the country. So it took us years and years of, struggle and, fighting with the authority, educating them. And it is not their mistake because no one had worked earlier in that ground. Okay. So educate your prospective clients sometimes. What we did when we first started Montessori education and started advocating, play-way method, parents said that, यत्रो पैसा तिरेर खेल्नलाई पठाएको मैले के गरिरहेको यिनीहरूले, but we had to educate the public that खेल is, play is a method. Play is a way the children grow and relate to world. So it took years to, now these days everybody knows what is Montessori. Montessori has been used as a synonym for kindergarten or preschool, okay, which is not actually, but people are using it. Okay, so you sometimes have to, develop your own ecosystem. So what we did was, when we started training center, we had to start a model school. When we started model school, people, started sending their children from all over the valley. And then we said that it is not good to, for children in such a young age to travel that long distance. So that's how we started to branching out our Montessori Kinderworld. Okay, and then we realized it's not only the training and then the schools, it is actually the Montessori gene and material that makes the Montessori curriculum authentic. So we started producing our own materials and providing to other schools also, empowering other teachers and schools as well. So our purpose was greater, rather than, just running your own business and making money, but empowering the entire ecosystem, education system of early childhood education in Nepal. That was our bigger picture. So these days, people don't even remember that actually it was Nepal Montessori Training Center who started the Montessori training, at first professionally. But we are happy. People don't know that it was behind the script was Pawitra Limbu who started, who took the chance, who took the responsibility and risks of introducing it. When I came back in 2001 from Singapore, people said that Titikhera ekdam emergency was in its peak, and said that you made a big mistake of resigning your government service in Singapore and coming back to Nepal. But I said that if I don't come back now and start, it will be always already too late. So that's the risk that I took to start a Montessori education. Now people don't even remember my name. People don't even remember may not, know my institution. But what is the legacy it has left in the country, in the community, is the good practice of Montessori education, child-centered education in the society. Even government level, Montessori education bhannu thaliरहेछ. Whereas that time when I wanted to introduce, people said that Montessori is old-fashioned भनेर मलाई brush up गरेको थियो. So this is the change. So what I would like to emphasize is, as startup, we always think that why do you want to be an entrepreneur? We said that I want to make money. Don't worry about money. Money will follow you. Discover your purpose of doing so. If you have bigger purpose, even if you make a substantial amount of money, if you make a humble amount of money, you'll still be very happy, because an entrepreneur is a risk taker. An entrepreneur is a problem solver, is a creator, is a trendsetter. Moreover, and most importantly, an entrepreneur is a giver. It gives the hope. It spreads the dream. It gives the goodness in the society. It gives love and compassion. Just recently, I was really, I'm sure we were in a very difficult position, because it was very difficult the cash flow was, in a very difficult position, and nobody thought that COVID-19 will, impact in this intensity to all of us. Salary dine ki nadine, kati dine was, I think, was the first question to, all the entrepreneurs. Then one fine morning, I revisited my own thought. Why, at first, in first place, who told me to start schools? Who told me to start my own company? Who told me to give jobs to more than 300 people? Nobody. I decided myself. Why? What kind of change, what kind of impact of lives that I wanted to make? Then the answer I heard in my mind, in my heart, eased me so much. It was not the profit that I wanted to make. It was the, life change I wanted to make. It was the good impact, positive impact in the lives that I wanted to make. I would like to tell it to all the future entrepreneurs and the present entrepreneurs. It is not a big deal to give jobs to people. It is not a big deal to give jobs to people. तपाईले घरमा एउटा भाडा मान्छेलाई पनि जब दिन सक्नुहुन्छ, बट तपाईले दिएको जबले, तपाईले दिएको स्यालेरीले कसको लाइफमा, कतिको लाइफमा कतिको इम्प्याक्ट गरेको छ र पोजिटिभ चेन्ज लिन सकेको छ इन द सोसाइटी, इन दैट फ्यामिली, इन दैट पर्सन. That is more important. Okay, so that gave me more purpose to face this crisis, COVID crisis, and then it completely changed my strategy. How would I, pay to my staff? How would I run to my, pay back to my vendors, or, deliver education to my students and support my staff? So what I would like to emphasize is that discover your purpose first before we jump into entrepreneurship. If you haven't, it's okay. And when we discover I already said that entrepreneurship is a journey. In each journey, we might start with one purpose. You discover another high level of purpose. Each low level of purpose will drag you to the high level of purpose. So start small. We grew up organically, as a very humble and small company. And we grew up very organically because we discovered our own market. We created our own market. We tried to solve the problem of the society. In the course of time, yes, we made some humble amount of money too. And with whatever the little money that we make with a good intention, good purpose, you'll always be happy. I think on the deathbed, I don't think Steve Jobs was happy thinking about the amount of money that he could make. I'm sure he was satisfied on his deathbed with his invention, with his contribution, the sea change, the paradigm change that it brought in communication and technology. Who would have thought that the mobile gadget that you carry would look that beautiful, feel so beautiful to hold? It was he. So yes, money will follow you if you have a greater purpose. If your intention is clear, if your purpose is met, you'll always be satisfied on your deathbed to take your last breath. So that is something that I think in entrepreneurship, we all have to see and think and hold back sometimes, especially if you are scaling up, companies. You will not even have time, you'll not even have enough time to hold back and see. Sometimes, stop, go to meditation. When I come back in 2000, when I started this second phase of entrepreneurship, I went for Vipassana Center for 10 days retreat because I knew that to be back in the country and start up my new company, it's not an easy journey. It's going to be a roller coaster. But that is the challenge of entrepreneurship. The journey is what it makes uniquely interesting and worth. So one thing that I would like to say now lastly is what entrepreneurship is not is it is not a copycat activity. Be original, okay? One, because there's no respect in being copycat. Two, it is not worth of your time, your money, your effort, your commitment, and your hard work to spend your life, rest of life, to be someone else. No matter what, big or small, be yourself. this is what entrepreneurship is all about, what I have understood. Be yourself, create your own, create your own brand, promote your own brand. And Nepal is such a wonderful place for that. I have already told you the reason behind it. It has so many fields unexplored, untouched, and you always be the first one. I'll tell you, how proudly I show you that we are the first to do so many things. After us, there are many schools are coming, and there should be many schools coming in Nepal, but this flag that we have borne can never be taken away. So that is the entrepreneurship for me, to bring a good social change in Nepal. Thank you very much for, listening to me and having me. Thank you very much. Good luck.